Oh man, it's Hollywood and Brian. That's cool. What's up, guys? So, bam. Ape's in here, Hollywood. He's off to the side, if you know what I mean. Where's my OBS? I don't even. Oh, my audio doesn't look bad. No, that's on time. What's he saying? What's he saying? Ape needs a second so he can get ready to watch. That's pretty funny. So we're waiting on Ape right now, Hollywood. And Sir Brian, hello. Got one eye open tonight. What are we talking about tonight? This thing, right? Let me move this out of the way. This isn't fun. So I totally rearranged the shack so I could bring in a whole mess of desks. And I have this big row of desks now. And immediately my son took that one and my daughter took that one. So all this work that I did to have more desks in my shack just basically made me relocate my desk. But I get to be in the middle of my kids now, which is pretty great. This thing, and I'm not even sure how I'm gonna film this properly. This thing is a monster. Oh no. How do you film such a beast? All right, camera, let's go. Dun, 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 dun. I guess I could flip it upside down for the folks at home, eh? Ugh. Oh, dude, it even weighs a ton. So, is he here yet? It's tuna time. Tuna time, tuna time. We're going to tear apart a tuner. Come on, Ape, comment if you're there in the YouTuberies. Oh, I guess I should give him a link to the YouTuberies. I think that was my problem. Let me help a brother out. My YouTube. I'll have to go to my channel dashboard or something. Me, go to my channel. Here we go. Oh, that's not a bad one. Let's share that. Copy. And paste. Oh man, I made the word yeah a link. That's pretty funny. Anyway, back to here. I'm waiting. Come on. I guess I could start pulling some screws apart.
Oh, man. Let me turn on the overhead light. Much better. I've got no audio. Hey, he's here. All right. So let's pull it apart. I'm thinking. I guess we start with the top lid. Fine thread. Number 2s. Let's speed this process up. Is my gun in here? My gun is in here. Whoa. I told Ape that I've got a tuner I'm gonna tear into. And I know him as well, just as myself, that I will stay up extra late to see the inside of. Hold on, we need to appreciate this before I crack it open, right? Bring this camera here. Do I gotta flips it? I gotta flips it. Sorry, guys. There we go. So. Daiwa. 200-watt CW. That's no joke. And it's a selector. I love this font though. Like, I showed this to the old lady, and there's some kind of World War II reference going on here with this font. Love it. Absolutely love it. Well made, well crafted. Get another front look before I crack the top, guys. Pissed? No, not pissed. I think it was past. Did it look like pissed? Hollywood. It says past. All right, let me back you up here. All right. Can I zoom out with this anymore, or is that it? Not that one. That's my focus. That's my in and out. That's as far as I can back up. 8 made me do it. You know, I got this wonderful thing that I tell people whenever there's a whoops-a-daisy at work. I say, just blame it on me. Nobody will care, and everybody will just move on. Ape's over there jumping out of his pants, dude. Oh man, this thing is banana. We might have to go into free flight mode here with the camera. Let's see. How do I do that? I don't have this thing totally set up for this. All right. Eli the Iceman time. It was pretty great. Okay. See if we can't move this to where it makes sense to the viewers at home. Everything's 180 out this way, right? Bam. So, starting up front here. Whoa, right on past it. Looks like some simple flip floppery with the selection. Nothing of interest really going on up front here. Let's move on to this section. Ape says, "The oldie T-Match, eh? I've knowed her well." These are some beautiful capacitors. My God. Well, there's hardly anything worth knocking. I bet you I could straighten out this one with a piece of paper. Watch this. Right there. Just give it. That's good enough. Close up there. I'm not really worried about that. It's not within my. But man, do they move so smooth. I mean, they feel like they've got 10 pounds of weight behind them. It's some kind of oh, you know what? It's the friction contactor. And it's spring loaded. Right here. This thing is spring loaded here and down there and one more on the other side. So it's pushing against it really hard, and it gives the user this feel that whatever you're turning feels like it's so smooth, but it has so much weight behind it. It's wonderful. I must say, I've never. It really does. It feels like you're trying to move like a 10-pound bag of sand with this thing. That's so cool. Let's get a different view. What's going on here? Okay, so this coil, of course, it's standing straight up on you guys. Maybe I can get slightly different view. I don't know. I don't want to get all kinds of crazy because I'm going to go right back to an overhead view. Let's go ahead and just flip it around. Maybe I can stand it up a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, wonderful. What a great view. So, what I want to point out about this thing in particulars, I don't know if anybody got a good enough view of the inductor selector, but it's got all kinds of goodies printed on it. We've got like bands and numbers, and it goes all the way around the dial. So it's very interesting what it is that certain taps are for, because other ones are quite clear. So what that tells me is that this inductor, bam, this inductor is a very mindfully crafted and tuned inductor, because they didn't just do 2 turns and then tap, 2 turns, tap, 2 turns, tap. You can tell this is an exponential tapping system that they have. And I believe that lower one might even, it's a ground strap. So they've even accounted for that being the actual end of the inductor. Very, very mindful craftsmanship there. And so what do? We first tap off the main inductor, and then we run off to our secondary taps. Yeah, right. That ain't no MFJ. This thing is gorgeous. Oh, I could talk about it all day long. Is this brass? I bet you that's brass. I can tell those are in-house machined as well. That's pretty cool. Side note, where they ran wires front to back, they ran the wires inside of tubing. This is clear tubing. So the wires, their own jacket. Yeah, they insulated. Yeah, they took the step to put this tubing there. Right on. Let's see. This thing looks brand new. Absolutely brand new. And I hate to say it, but this is probably the best tuner in the shack right now. It's just been sitting at my 11-meter buddy's house, just on a shelf. He's like, I don't know what to do with it, and I just finally saw it one day tonight. I was like, when did you get that? And he's like, man, I've had that forever. I've been trying to tell you to do something with it. Oh man, this thing is wonderful. I can't wait. Can't wait to tune my loop antenna. It's too cold. That's so awesome. What are we protecting back here? Is that where the battery goes? What is this shielded something another here? What's the trickery going on here? I guess that's the straight bypass circuit. Is these wires maybe? They actually went out of their way to shield the final output area. It's interesting. Well, I mean, I get it. It's right next to those two inductors. Directional coupler. Very, very good. Oh, those are for the SWR bridge, eh? Directional coupler. Right on. Very nicely made capacitors too. That I was not expecting that kind of quality. Man alive. It looks brand new. Well, that's so cool. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And we'll try to get this on the air. Oh my gosh, Hollywood, you've been here this whole time?
Not
Sorry.
me.
You've been here this whole time?
No.
How long you been holding?
as long as you haven't been looking at the screen.
So about 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
good.
Sorry, man.
And I didn't know if you wanted me in here or not, and that's okay. I would not be offended if you didn't. It's your stream, buddy.
No. I would have clicked it as soon as I saw you there.
That's what I figured. I was hoping Ape would join us, and we'd have a party at your expense.
Oh, he's still here.
Oh, I know. He's getting ready to go to not off land, horizontal mode.
Horizontal mode. Absolutely. What were you screaming at the top of your lungs there about 5 minutes ago?
I wouldn't dare. I wasn't screaming. I was very composed.
I kept it normal.
Yep.
All right. So what did I miss?
You didn't miss anything.
Oh, okay.
No, we were watching you and marveling over the cleanliness of this unmolested tuna.
Unmolested is,
I mean, they're usually hacked up pretty good.
putting it lightly. This is just untouched.
That looks original. Yeah.
I was even looking at the at those. I mean, maybe a little bit of splay on this one got used one time, but that one not so much.
I don't see any arcing, no pitting, no burn marks, no Chernobyl meltdown. I mean, it's all good.
So this came out of an 11 meter SK.
Okay.
And this is obviously only rated for 200 watts PEP. I'm sure it's 500 watts. I'm sorry. It says 500
That's
watts.
conservative. I think you can probably put 400 through it. Sideband. That would be my guess. I'm judging that by the I'm judging by the spacing of the capacitors.
They're pretty tight, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are pretty tight. Whoa.
Yeah, it does. I was right. It says 500 watt PEP.
Yeah.
I said 400.
I think 400. You're right, because
5,
my word.
Yeah, 5 is pushing it. 5 is if you have a 1-to-1 match at the load.
Always.
But 300, 400, 400 might be pushing somewhere in that ballpark. It's certainly not a 100 watt. It's more than that.
I'm trying to find something banana for scale here. I mean, yeah, we're pretty close. We're getting pretty close to less than a millimeter on some of these, and I know nobody's touched them up until this point, so it was sent like this. Still, I think you could.
No, you're right, Brian. This is not an AliExpress. This is the way they used to build things.
Yeah. But still, I mean, you could massage these out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another day, another time. On AliExpress. I love the ceramic inductor. I mean, they just really went all out here. Not that way. That way. Ooh. So like I was saying, it's for it to have these very specific band taps on the selector.
Right.
This is a highly tuned device. I want to think. I don't want to think that they just, put some arbitrary taps in here, because it's hard to film it. I'll have to move this. And I'll have to flip this. Oh, no, we're good. So these bands, right? So what do we have? Oh, geez. Starting at the top, we got 1014F. 18, 21, 24, 28. G and H. So higher and higher. So probably maybe 50 meter or 50 megs, somewhere abouts. We can go
I would be surprised if it does 50.
Yeah, you're right.
Because when you have open wiring like that, that's usually 30 megs is the top end, 10 meters.
You're right.
I don't think it will do 160. I don't think there's enough inductance there, and there's certainly not enough capacitance.
But look at all these steps in between 1.8 and 3.5. I mean, that's a lot.
Although, you know what? It does say 1.8.
It does,
right there.
Right there.
I'm actually very surprised.
Yeah, right? I can't wait to play with it.
Yeah.
So we start way over here at 3.5, and that's, I don't know what this dot is. Is that nothing? That's got to be shorted. Because it's not a coil tap, or it's an open. Who knows?
Is that the stop? Does it go past that if you rotate it further counterclockwise?
It's free.
It'll spin all the way around?
Round and
that
round.
Knob?
Round and round.
The other direction, counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay, got it.
So we got, I'm not going to count the dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stops until we get to the beginning of 80. And then somewhere between 80 and 40, we've got 2 stops. Again. So probably trying to mess around with 60 maybe. I don't know, would be really only 1 stop there, but there's our 30, 20, and then we get an F, which I think is great. So in between 20 and 17, what would lie there? 20 and 17.
Well, those numbers are suggestions. It'll fall in that zone.
Right. Sure.
But you can go, plus 1 or 2 either side of that.
Yeah.
Depending on what the load is.
I wonder if the manual has something about what those were intended to be. But that's interesting. Yeah, they probably just give you all the in-between stops is what those are. They probably they're splitting the differences.
That's right, because it's not a roller.
Right.
See, Number 1 thing, though, is don't switch that when there's RF going through it.
Well, maybe a watery 2 or do is okay.
Oh, yeah, a small amount. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
21, 24, 28, and then 2 more higher steps I'm willing to bet. What do you think? G and H. Yeah.
They go beyond 10?
So, yeah, so 28, and then step.
Yeah, it's probably the top. It's probably 29 and 30 megs.
I think you're right.
Because the wires inside of it being open like that, there's so much capacitance going on between them and the chassis.
Oh, it should just soak up 50 megahertz.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly. Right. It's not designed for anything beyond 10 meters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've probably got like 50 megahertz resonant sections in here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. And you don't even know it.
I see PVC jacket on the high voltage line. That's very nice.
I did
good build.
I did just notice that. You're right.
Yeah, because it's going through the grommet. Mm-hmm.
Go here. We get kind of close.
That's okay.
We get kind of close to there. But yeah, it does. It feeds to the other one here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. And then I promise I'm getting a camera. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's a pretty modest solder job there, I must say. I got no quarrels with that. All the solder work seems pretty good.
I would take that the top capacitor. Yeah, push that white wire away from the shield.
This guy.
So push it. Yeah. See at the bottom there, it has an elbow. It has a 90-degree bend, and it's right up tight to the shield.
Talking about this guy right here.
Yep. Follow it to the right.
Yeah.
And right there.
That's
not the first capacitor you were at, the second one.
This guy.
The one away from, yes, correct. Look at that white wire. It's touching the chassis.
Is it? Oh, yeah. It is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would be coupling that chassis.
That's right.
Man. I have to make that run shorter, and the reason why they did it long.
You just bend it out of the way with a pair of needle nose.
I know. I got to find the nose. There we go. I've got my tools inside.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate. Let's see. I think I could just. It's not easy, Hollywood.
No.
No.
No, I know it.
Alan had a tuner. Get out of the way. All right, we are off the chassis, but now we're kind of underneath this capacitor a little bit.
That's okay. Because that's a high voltage point right there.
Oh, man, that looks so much better. Man, got a hold of that son of a bitch. There we go. All right. It is plenty far away, I would like to think, from the other one.
Brian's asking if it'll do 11 meters, and I say yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No problem.
So I have a theory I came up with yesterday, Hollywood, is that I believe fundamentally in nature, it is easier to load up naturally occurring things on 27 megahertz than any ham band. Because it seems like you can put 27 megs on anything.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Anything will take it. But if you try to do it with a ham band, nope.
Yeah.
It's going to be way harder for you. It's kind of hard to see what I've done here. So I've kicked it out to the side here. Pulled it shorter by pulling it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled it off to. It was all the way to here before.
Yep.
This is my daughter likes to paint my fingernail with.
Got it.
Stuff because I'm trying to teach her which finger to put forward on her pencil. She picked up that bad habit from her brother. Let's see. Yeah, these are plenty far away from each other now. They look like they're close, but they actually have a little bit of room.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So back to the high voltage side of this.
Mm-hmm.
When does it become high voltage?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. If I give you the answer, it is too easy.
I'm setting up. I'm following. I'm gonna break it down here. All right, where are we coming in at? We got two antennae, and then we got selectors, and then we get dropped. Okay, so we immediately go straight into a capacitor.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of network is this?
Oh, you tell me.
Well, it looks like we are going capacitor, inductor, capacitor.
Draw it out on a piece of paper so you can see it. That would be my suggestion. You don't have to do it, but that's the thought. We call that reverse engineering. Yes, the traces, Brian. That was marmalade. Traces of my life.
Right. So it looks like we're coming in, and immediately after selection, we get thrown to a capacitor. So we've got this capacitor over here.
Mm-hmm.
And we come in and we run one leg of this capacitor on this side. And then we pick up and leave where? And we run over to the other capacitor immediately. Does that sound right? Let's see. Selection, dump, and then output on this side to the high output to the other one. Okay, so it looks like there's a tap here because there's another coil here. Or I'm sorry, coil. There's another cap here, but we tie from the center, which is the pickup. Over to this rail. This pickup has an output and it runs over to our first coil tap, which still has me perplexed.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out.
Yeah. So we have
the on your drawing, the item on the left, is that a capacitor?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. This guy? Yeah. Yeah. So it runs in.
Mm-hmm.
It runs over to a rail. It gets picked up, runs over to another rail. It runs off to this inductor, which is tapped at every single one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then those taps are actually, I'm sorry, in reverse, it seems. No. Okay. So we start here. Yeah. We start at the beginning. It's like a pre-coil before we hit the main coil over here. Because every single one of these in succession to this rotary gets picked off.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful craftsmanship. Holy cow. Oh, I get it. Okay. So this is the first half of the inductor, and this is the second half of the inductor.
Mm-hmm.
Aha.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. So now let's figure out where we go from here. Well, I guess we have a whole capacitor that we don't have the other end of the story. And that would be first one or the second one, because they both seem to be fed by the input selector.
So let me make a quick suggestion. You're doing great, by the way, but this may help you. I have two quick suggestions. The wire where the signal is coming in from the transmitter.
Yes.
On your paper.
Oh.
On the drawing.
Huh.
Yep. whatever that wire. Oh, it does say in. I couldn't see it. It was out of the shot. I got it now. That was my first suggestion, just to label it as input or in. Yeah, good. Perfect. The other suggestion is, yeah, is the capacitor. There are two capacitors in there. I don't know if you've drawn the second one yet or not. But
Here's one. Here's the
okay.
other one.
Okay. So if you follow the input wire, so on the real device, not the drawing,
Right.
look at where it goes.
Goes right
That
here.
input wire. Okay. So that's the first capacitor?
Yep.
Okay. So label that as C1, capacitor number 1. So what are you going to label the second one?
Ooh. D2.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That way you can refer back to it and you know which is which.
Now, however, this capacitor network, it's got multiple paths, and I see that this device has a range button. So I wonder if that bumps us in between areas.
It may very well.
Right.
But I would suggest keeping it simple. Forget about the range button just yet. Understand what the circuit is and how it's going to work. And then you can add all the extra stuff like the meter and the SWR bridge and the range button and all that jazz. Just do the two capacitors and the inductor.
Let's see. So from our selection here, and we're talking about these white jacketed wires.
Mm-hmm.
Our selection here in the back at the very bottom, this is kind of like our, what affects him? Big old long rod, him. And that is the tuner, enable, disable. Oh, that is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Back when tunas was tunas. All right, so we're enabling and disabling switch.
I wouldn't even bother drawing that right yet.
Oh no, I'm not. I was just making sure that where I think the signal is coming from and
Good.
going to is actually what it is. Because
Mm-hmm.
I see that I come in here on these two, and this is my input selector, and then I dive straight over to this guy. And this is my tuner enable disable, and then I run off to both capacitors in white from this guy. So here I guess would be tuner enable and tuner disable. So it's almost like it's feeding one backwards. What that would be. Anyway. But so I'm assuming that we're coming in and we're landing on the top of here. Like I said, in the middle, it runs back to the switch. I would need a meter at this point, Hollywood.
Take a look. Here's another clue. Take a look at that coil.
All right.
So one end of the coil goes where? There's really two coils. I know there's two coils, but think of it as one continuous coil just cut in half.
Right. So the very end of the second coil, I'm calling it, rounds out.
Ah, draw that
Right.
in. That's a big, big, big clue.
Right
Big
there.
clue right there.
You see him down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that on the paper. That's a big one.
That's a big one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so help me out. Why is it a big one?
Because the coil is just that. It's one continuous piece of wire. So you've already answered one side of the wire. Where is it going? It's going to ground.
Oh, so it doesn't matter what, eventually we're going to ground at the end of this.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fixed. It never moves.
Okay.
The other side of the coil, the other far end, where does it go?
So it would appear that we're coming up and all the way around this rotary, starting
Mhm.
here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 taps on this taller inductor.
Mhm.
And 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This capacitor feeds the beginning of this coil.
Mhm. Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo.
And actually, I've got that. Hold on, I've got it off the center here. It's actually rail driven, so it's actually
Mhm.
tied to this rail here, not here.
Mhm. Okay.
Output to rail, and then that means that we have this output. Where's the high voltage line here? Oh, okay. Oh, I was wrong. Was I? No, okay, so here we go. This is the output of C2. It dives to this selector circuit right here.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Right.
also the high voltage side of C1, I believe, no, the rail side of C1 dives to this selector circuit too. This is C1 rail, right? Yep. And where did this high voltage side? This is C2 selector. I would just call that rail side, or the output side. And they both dive to this selector. So it's weird because
Yeah.
the selector is pumping this in two different ways.
Well, sort of. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think what you did is I think you inadvertently made it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, and that's
Absolutely.
okay. I understand. Do you
The
know, and I'm not calling you out, I'm trying to help. Do you know what the schematic symbols look like for a variable capacitor?
let's see, a
Because
variable capacitor.
what you drew there is what it looks like in the real world.
Oh, you wanted to get okay.
Can you give me a
I thought we were
symbol?
a symbol.
Yeah,
A variable capacitor. Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
If you were to flip that page over and start a new picture, so we can refer back to this one.
gotcha. Got some other drawings here. Oh yeah. What is this? That looks like
Past
a
the
happy
dirty
guy.
pictures. Yeah.
This is some little guy. Oh, this was my idea about hanging it, um,
Cool.
hanging a wire off of a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So our variable capacitor. Let's see how to draw one smarts.
It's okay to use Google if you want to look it up.
I wanna.
This is an open book quiz.
Right.
It's actually not a quiz at all. It's just,
Let's see how to make one pretty. It's just the capacitor with the line through it, right? That
Yeah.
denotes the.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what kind of capacitor are we talking about? We're talking about
It doesn't matter.
the
Don't
plated
overthink
kind.
it.
Well, it would be plated. Okay,
Yeah, don't overthink it. Just
Nope.
draw a capacitor and put a line through it.
You got it. Let me get back to. Here we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then we have. Let's go ahead and make our
Perfect.
other one. Let's go ahead and make our other one. Point him the other direction.
Sure. Good. Home run.
We have coil number one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, but only the middle.
No, don't even do that. No, what you've got there is absolutely perfect.
I was going to bop him here. Okay.
No engineer draws the 10 veins. What you've got there is perfect.
Okay. I wasn't drawing 10 veins. I was going to draw the inductor, the first inductor up here.
Don't even need to.
No?
Well,
all right.
You can. Okay, so if you drew an inductor, what's it going to look like?
Looks like a bunch of waves.
Yeah. 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 Don't worry about how many taps you've got there. Keep it real simple. Yep. Good.
There, that's half as many.
Okay.
And then we've got our secondary inductor.
No, don't even bother with that. Keep it simple. Just one inductor. Okay. Right. Just so that you get the visualization of what the schematic is going to look like, and you're using the correct schematic symbols.
Fair enough.
Okay. That's the goal of this part. Where is your input? Look at the actual tuner.
Okay.
And look to see where is the RF going in. What does it connect to?
So we first go to this antenna selection switch.
Mm-hmm.
And then either one of us pops out of the middle here into the middle here. And depending on the location of this, which is the tuner on and off switch. Oh, wait a minute. Both of these capacitors are in the on position. So it appears that this leg and this leg join with RF together. It's almost.
Now let me ask you a question, because I can't see the unit, but I think I know.
Okay.
Because you're looking at the right hand side when the tuner is on the desk.
Right.
Right. Okay. Which one of those sockets is the input? That's what we're looking for, is the input.
Both of them.
They both say input?
A and B, and there's the.
But do they both say input?
Yeah, it's got antenna 1 and antenna 2.
Oh, those are outputs, buddy. Those are not inputs. You want to think, remember, we're matching. So here, it's a syntax thing, but
you're right. You're right. We're power matching.
You in the right direction. Yes, you're matching a transmitter to an antenna, not the receiver. You're not matching the antenna to the receiver. It will work that way, yes, but always think of it as a transmitter pushing power out into an antenna.
So we come in the middle, and if this tuner, this is latching in 2 directions. RF goes here. We're either going to go here and shunt to ground, or we're going here first. Okay, so we're going here first. We are going here first. Sorry to leave you out of the picture here. We're
we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
I'm just reading the. I'm saying hello to Colin. Hey,
Yeah.
in the VK.
Hey, Colin. Sorry, I forgot to say hey. Yeah. So we're going to the. Do we call this the high voltage side of the capacitor? Like you referred to it.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't for this part. It doesn't matter.
We'll call it the. We'll call it the
Doesn't
rail.
matter.
The rail in the center, I guess.
They're electrically they're the same.
You're right.
They are. They're equal. So, but where does the signal come in when it comes into the tuner? What's the first thing that it sees?
Coax is gonna immediately come into this guy, right? And they've so kindly labeled this antenna match, but they just called it ant match.
This is from the transmitter, right?
Right.
You always want to go from the transmitter to the antenna.
Oh, that's right. We were going from the input. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
So whatever socket on the back of the tuner is labeled radio, that is the input to the tuner.
Here. This is going to go to the rail of here. So that's coax out.
Right.
This is
Right. Just like we read left to right. Input on the left, output on the right.
And that's enabled. We're going to go to the rail. I'll call this the rail. Of this
bingo. 100% correct.
We're going to leave this one. Are we leaving this one?
What you've got on paper is perfect. It is absolutely correct.
When we come in on the rail and then we leave in the center, where are we going? Oh, we're going next door. We're going to this rail. Pretty much like that.
100% right.
And this
bingo.
Actually has a third connection, which goes off to our inductor.
Aha.
Hey.
Very good. And where does the other end of the inductor go?
To ground.
Right. You got it.
Hey.
That's it. That's the whole tuner right there. That's the whole damn tuner. Yes.
That's the whole tuner.
Everything else in the circuit, the bypass switch, the SWR bridge, all of that is extra. It's the creature comforts, you know.
Selling points
doesn't make the tuner work. They're useful things, but what you've drawn here is the tuner.
It makes it desirable. So this would be.
There's only 3 components, right? That's the whole tuner.
Got it.
Okay, now that you've got it correct, here's my suggestion. I'm gonna you're gonna hate me, but take another piece of paper and redraw it
with thought,
so that it's well. Here's what I would do, Ziggy. Take the paper that you just drew that has the correct schematic on it,
okay,
and rip it out of the book so that you can look at it.
Oh, I've got it in my brain. I don't need to look at that thing.
Okay. Well, you're a better man than me. I would need the paper next to me. Okay. And then just redraw it neater. I would put the coil in the middle, which is correct. I would make the coil vertical. You originally had it driven. Yeah, there you go. Right. That's right. You got it. Home run. Yep. Bravo. 100%. You got it. That's it. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So, and this is called a.
Oh, you tell me. That's why I had you draw it this way now. What is it? What letter does it look like?
That's a T match.
You got it. Home run. Right. That's it.
I always get them mixed up though.
And that's exactly how you do it. That's what we all do when we reverse engineer. Those are the steps.
But you know, when I draw it out like this, it's a damn T.
It is. That's perfect.
NAT. Good job there, Alan. Go show everybody on stream that you're dyslexic.
Everybody's got a little bit of dyslexia, and everybody's got a little bit of ADD and ADHD. Nothing wrong with it. It's okay.
Just a little bit higher in this hobby for some
Yep.
strange reason.
That's all right.
Oh boy. All right. So
Perfect.
what on earth do I give this back to this guy? Do I buy it from him? He wants $100 for it. I think
it's that's well worth $100.
Oh,
well worth it.
Absolutely.
Probably worth $250, to be honest with you. And
yeah,
he's not in the stream, so I can say that.
$250 to a friend.
Yeah.
Right. Man.
That one's a keeper.
Nice fine display on the needles. It looks like these are LEDs.
Yes. Could very well be.
Well, they ain't getting power from back here. Does that have something to do with that circuit? Is it stealing power from the radio?
Sure. It doesn't take much to light up an LED.
It sure the hell doesn't. Not even them old ass 1980 LEDs either.
No, especially the red ones. Red ones take very little power to light up.
The old square bodies there.
Right. Well, sometimes the old tuners took a 9-volt battery or, some type of internal battery. This one may sample some of the RF and use that.
How wonderful.
But it's splitting hairs. It's minimal.
Oh no,
you'll never notice it on the output.
Oh, any ham would rather take a little bit of LED money instead of having to screw with a damn 9-volt.
Right.
Insane ham, that is. But man alive, I still cannot believe the way that these feel.
Yeah.
They really put a lot of attention on them. Like, it almost feels like these want to snap. These extensions. Because this is all plastic right here.
Right.
I think.
It is. It's nylon.
It twists. I can feel it from here to here. Look at that. I'm actually putting that rod under torsion. But man, is it satisfying.
Is it smooth going around?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Feels like you're pushing a stick through wet sand.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And they're both equal?
Yeah, the one
as far as torque?
Yeah, the one on the left's the lower one's a little bit stiffer than the other one. It's okay. Well, that's great, man. I am blown away. I did not expect this thing to turn out to be a little jewel.
Yeah. No, that's a keeper.
It's awesome. $1.27 on Banggood, Brian says.
Yeah.
Free shipping.
Yeah.
Cool beans, Hollywood.
So the weak spots on this tuner would be the bypass switch,
the tuner on and off switch.
Yep. The rotary switch on the inductor, because a lot of times what people will do is they won't put 1 watt into it. They forget. They'll put 100 watts in, and then they'll start rotating that switch around for the best match. And that arcs you've got high voltage there, and that will arc and pit the contacts in that rotary switch.
I have to try to show you this. I just saw something so cool. How close can I get here? Oh, I've done destroyed my camera. Come on. It's meant for up close stuff. Do the up close trick.
Do you have a zoom on the lens?
It's all manual. Yeah, I've got a zoom and a focus.
So usually if you back the camera away and then you zoom in, yeah, there you go. Yep.
Sorry.
I got it.
It's hard. I think this little roller is on a bearing.
Could very well be. Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Is that not awesome?
Yep.
Oh man.
No, they do not build them like that.
Wow. It just boppity boos around. It's a nice thick plate of steel that they chose for that too.
Right.
Oh god. If you made one just like this, brand new, you could sell it for $1,000.
Yep.
People would buy it and they wouldn't complain. No, they're hams. They would complain. I'm sorry. I take that back. They would still buy it though.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good one.
How do you pronounce it, Hollywood?
Daiwa.
Daiwa. Daiwa. Daiwa.
Yeah. 200 watt CW. Yeah.
Oh, well. How are they getting away with that other? Wait a minute. I've been shamboozled.
You just keep putting more power into it until the smoke comes out, and then you label it.
I've been shamboozled. They said this thing was good for 500 watery dues.
Yeah, it does. It says 500 sideband on the front. Yeah.
500.
Yeah, there's a little bit of poetic license there.
Oh, that's great. So I was looking at some temperatures, and it looks like we're going to gain a couple of Fs.
Good.
In the next coming weeks.
The days are getting longer.
And I plan on getting out there and at least shortening the loop enough to where I can at least start doing some FT8 or some whisper work.
You're going to shorten it?
Well, I mean, where is it resonant right now? 3.1.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Shorten it. Yeah, shorten it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You want it to resonate at 3.5.
At least.
Yeah.
At
well,
least
it's better. It's been my experience to cut the wire for the bottom end of the band. Don't make it perfect at, if let's say you work 3.8, don't cut it for 3.8 because you're shortchanging yourself on the other bands, on the harmonics.
Oh no, you need a dedicated 3.8 antenna. Gotta have that dedicated 3.8 3.9 dipole. Everything else can fall.
Okay.
In the natural harmonics, in my opinion.
Okay.
I did my infed half waves. I would put a 100 picofarad capacitor right in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And just the most beautiful thing, it shoots you right up there to 3.9 on 80 and leave everything else alone.
Right.
What it did to the efficiency.
No, it's just you're just putting the tuner in the end half wave. You're putting it in the middle of the wire. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the capacitor. That's the tuner.
Worked pretty good. I used to love telling them that I'm talking to them on a infed half wave fed by 75 ohm coax on barefoot, and they're like, "Boy, get out of here!"
Yep.
Ain't nobody got time for such nonsense.
Right.
So one guy's like, "Man, you're the loudest infed I've ever heard." I was like, "Cool, man. I appreciate that. I got a couple things couple things working for me. I'm 100 feet above sea level. I live in Florida. Let's see what else is going for me. Oh, I'm pretty good at impedance matching.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, like 36-1 seems to be. I've had this conversation with Abe. I think that most people's infeds transformers, I think their impedance is too damn high. It
Could
seems
be.
like, yeah, it seems to me in my experience that the more compromise you get, the more, impedance transfer that you require. But I mean, most people do, what is it, the 14-2 scenario, and I've been doing like 11 wraps on my secondary, and still getting wonderful matches. But I think the impedance is too damn high. I think 49-1 is too damn high. That's a lot of impedance. Less is more when it comes to that.
Well, I agree at that. Anytime that you sacrifice voltage for current, or you're changing, you've got an extreme. You've got 50 ohms on one side and 3,000 on the other side. That transformer is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's more efficient with a 9-to-1. You've got to change the length of the antenna. And a 9-to-1 is not as efficient as a 4-to-1. And a 4-to-1 is not as efficient as a 1-to-1.
It's weird, right? Because like,
it's just, think of a transmission in a car.
It's use case, right? So we use like 49-to-1s and 4-to-1s in very specific use case scenarios, but then we have this 9-to-1 guy, that comes over to the party and thinks that he's the same thing, and he's not, because it's a totally different use case, and it's just like, whatever happens kind of scenario. So not the same category of device, of antenna. I mean, it just drives me absolutely bonkers just thinking about it.
It's just it's in the middle, the 9-to-1. It's and you can have a 16-to-1, you can have a 25 to, you can have any number you want.
Oh yeah.
It's just the gears in the transmission. It's the ratio of how many times does the motor turn around to how many times does the rear wheel turn around. That's it. It's just a ratio.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree.
If your transmission only has a first gear and a fourth gear, no second gear, no third gear, you're missing out on times when you would need a second gear. So the first gear has the most ratio difference. That would be the 49-to-1.
Right.
First gear, that engine is spinning 3,000 RPM and the rear wheels are going real slow. So the ratio is a higher ratio. More turns on the engine, less turns on the rear wheels. That's first gear.
Brian said I inspired him to get a roll of 75 ohm coax since he discovered my channel. That's freaking awesome, man.
Excellent.
Yeah. I told him to make sure to get those F to PL259 connectors.
Yep.
Gonna need a handful of them. He said, got him.
Good. Perfect.
That's great. And so Brian, so if you were to let's do that again. Let's say Brian's got a let's focus. That's in, that's out. Here we go. Say Brian's got an in-fed half wave. I just kind of wanted to. So on your 75 ohm coax, say if you had a in-fed half wave, out in the backfield or whatever, and off it goes. Sorry, drawing it sideways today. And so there's our wire. If you wanted to feed it with some 75 ohm coax and say this is a fundamental 80, so this would be like what, 120. I still to this day can't even tell you how long this is, but like 132 feet or something. We'll say 130.
It depends on the height above ground, but between 130 and 125, 122, somewhere in that ballpark.
To get this 75 ohm feeder to bounce on every single harmonic, 10 through 80, all you have to do is just make this section here typically about 120 feet. Now, what I find so curious about this number and this number is this relationship here. Typically, because we also have things like, velocity factor going on.
Right. That's right.
Going on here. And we also have, this wire is made of something totally different from here. This wire has its own velocity factor of some other arbitrary number related to its material. And this is how I discovered my my 8617 antenna, and that's code name for 8617 meters. Like, it did everything except for 17 meters. Like, we're out of the tuna, 86 the tuna. And what I did was, it's a pretty much a standard, but also a very thoughtfully wound, impedance matched 40 meter wire, still an M-fed half wave. I think the ratio ended up somewhere between 36 or something. But what I was doing is I was using a feed line without a choke that was exactly the same length. This is like a 66 foot wire. But when I made this feed line 66 feet as well, but I made it out of 75 ohm coax, this antenna was using this, in some would say a bad way, but I would say a good way, because I gained 2 additional bands that you normally wouldn't gain. So this antenna normally only gets 10, 15, 20, and 40. I was somehow squeaking 12 out of it, and it was real broad in between 10 and 12, if you know what I mean. And then I think I was getting 30 out of it too. The whole 30 section, I believe, was coming in, but it wasn't, I couldn't get 17. So that's why I called it, it was 30 that I got out of it as well. So I got basically 10, 11, 12, 15, 20, 30, and 40 out of a 66 foot wire without a tune, or with slight tuning, onboard tuning, 3-to-1 tuning on those weird ones. But yeah, it was using the of course, you'd have to be like out in a field. This wouldn't be so suitable like for a permanent installation or anything. Add 5 feet? No, absolutely do not add 5 feet to your feed line. No, that measurement is super critical, because as soon as you start skewing away, and in fact, I think I did a video on using the simulation software. I did. And where you can put in your velocity factor, Brian, and then, because you can look up your spec sheet on your coax. That's what I love about 75 ohm coax. They are super particular and super specific. They go through rigorous testing. But you can get your absolute velocity factor and get it pretty close. But what we're trying to do with that, I'm assuming that you have one of these kinds of antennas, is that you're just trying to use a 75 ohm section as a 50 ohm feeder. Now, things get different if you want to like do what I'm playing with right now, and that's actually using it as an impedance transformer. That might be the next step beyond that for you. 75 ohm, good for a G5RV2? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole point of the G5RV. That's a spicy antenna. My whistle's dry, Hollywood. I know it's late. I appreciate you making me draw that out.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Twice.
It's all good. It's all good.
I didn't get rid of it. It's all my paramedic notes.
Yeah. So now you know what a T-tuner looks like. And if another one shows up on the desk, you take the cover off, you look at it, and you go, "Oh, 2 capacitors, 1 inductor. I bet it's a T." And if you really look at it where the wires are going, it'll pop in your head, and you'll go, "Yeah, there it is."
You know what? Ape said that at 11:15. He said the old T match.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Most of them are Ts.
Most of them are Ts.
It's the most popular type of tuner.
Easy to build.
Yep. It's got the widest range. The only problem with the T tuner is that it does not attenuate harmonics. And on a modern transmitter, it doesn't matter because all the modern transmitters are super clean. But if you have a 1950s tube transmitter, there's a possibility that it might have some harmonics. And that's why they sold low-pass filters that you would have to screw in line to keep your signal away from channel 2 on the TV. Yeah. Yep.
Everybody's a victim, right?
Yep. Anyway, that's the next lesson.
That's the next lesson.
If you decide to go that route, and that's okay, you know.
Low pass filters.
Yep.
Lesson 2.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, Hollywood.
Anytime. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Okay, buddy. Thanks.
See ya. Bye.